Alrighty guys, as you can hear, another Dragon Ball Legends TOP guide video. This is going to be in regards to season 94. This one's going to be, I feel like I've just been repeating that for the past couple seasons though, is that they have all just been, ever since they updated the TOP game mode, the boss fights have been absolutely insane. All the boss, or even just the regular fights that have just been getting the updates with the new characters and stuff like that, have been a little bit rough. So definitely do prepare yourself, because this is going to be another one of those seasons. But speaking of last season, we did end off at rank 2186, which was actually really high for us, I would say. I think that's, we got the top cut and everything right there. Ending off in the top 3k is pretty impressive for us, I would say, especially since we don't necessarily go all in terms of points. We're only really getting that 30% boost to just make sure we secure our place getting that 1000 cc. And of course, before we start the video, there will always be timestamps in the description down below, and huge shout out to doomgeta for making these guides possible. Doomgeta and the rest of the Discord server as well. If you guys want to show them support and love, their links will be in the description down below. One of them is the official Dragon Ball Legends Discord server, where they all have the helper role, and then the other one is personally owned by doomgeta, and you can get a lot of the TOP help there if you need further assistance after watching this video. And of course, first thing that I do want to tell you guys is to make sure you guys are getting your friendship rank up. We are using LOE this season. We are getting our friendship rank up. I haven't really done it across all the characters, but most importantly, I have started building it up on this character in particular, because this is going to be essentially our boo tanks of the team. This Golden Frieza is going to be our super attacker. So he's at friendship 9 right now. He's going to be at friendship 10 before the first video goes up. The reason why you want to go ahead and make sure you're getting your friendship rank up is because you're going to see the regular stats, and then you're going to see the TOP stats, and you're going to notice a jump across the boards, right, in terms of all your statistics. So you do want, that's directly influenced by the friendship rank. Alright, so first thing we're going to be talking about is the pathing. On the left and the right hand side, we have part 1 and part 2 of the board, which is going to get their own video equivalents, right? So part 1, you do only have technically 2 fights that are going to be difficult, notable, right? But they have double warning icons. The double warning icons indicate that those fights could potentially be run enders. They're going to be more difficult than the standard difficult fights that we get per season. This is something new that we've just started doing this season exclusively. I don't know if we're going to keep doing it in the future. If they have fights like this, then yeah, we are going to keep doing it. So you have 2 of those in the first half, and then in the second half you have 3 of them, and then a standard difficult fight right there, right? So that is kind of giving you just a glimpse of how the season's going to go for us. This map is also color coded for you guys. That way you guys can go ahead and know where you're going to be putting in your high tier characters. Typically a team is going to consist of 3 S tiers or 1 S tier and 2 Z tiers, just making sure you get that 30% bonus to your score. That's pretty much all you need to end up getting that, or securing that juicy 1000 cc, right? And so you can see right here in the middle of the screen, this is how the win streak bonus works in terms of what fight you're going to be on. So for the first 14 fights, it's not that significant. It reaches a max peak of 50, which isn't all that, right? But once you hit like 15, 16, 17, it's already 100, 200, and then all the way down to fight 25, it goes up to 800%. Remember, you're not going to be able to take advantage of the full win streak percentage if you do land on a yellow or a green tile, because that's going to prevent you from hitting that 25th fight, right? The max potential you can get if you land on a green or yellow is up to the 600%. And obviously, if you lose a fight, if you straight up get sent back 2 tiles, your win streak is going to completely reset. So now we have the color wheel right here, right? So this is going to basically tell you what are going to be some of the most annoying colors for the season. For reds, you have 5 big reds, 5 big yellows, 8 big purples, 1 green, and then 2 blues. This is only taking into account the most difficult fights for the season, right? Because the rest of the fights we can get by 100%, we can just glide through them, right? But these fights, specifically the Universe Reps fight, there's a powerful opponent fight with the Super Saiyan 4 Goku, the Rival Universe, Future, and 3 Universe Reps, right? Those 3 Universe Reps have Ultra UI Goku in them, just letting you guys know. but we've completely taken out the fodder one. We're just focusing on the big boys. You're going to prioritize having a strong blue, you're going to prioritize having a strong red, and a strong yellow, right? Those are going to be the big ones, because I mean, if you double down on just having all purples, look at how many of the greens that you're going to be coming up against that are going to be extremely threatening. Only one. There's no point, right? Same thing with the blues. There's only 2 big blues, so there's no point in piling on a ton of greens. So that's something that you do have to consider. And then in terms of cover changes, Strike always just getting cucked in this segment right here, right? There's a total of 12 Strike cover changes. 1 Strike counter for Blast. There's 3 Blast cover changes and 1 Blast counter, and 3 universal cover changes. Again, just take a look at how many strike cover changes there are. I do not recommend running a strike team this season. And I keep telling you guys that I am going to eventually run a strike team, but this season should not be the season to do that. All right, so now let's get into the pathing tips and tricks. We're just going to go along the path and just point out whichever fights are going to be significant. Starting off with the Bojack family fight. This fight we actually did have the pleasure coming across last season. I don't think it was that bad. So what you're going to want to do here is you just get the Boojin out of the way. This guy's going to stun you on turn 2, and you're going to be 100% all good after that. The purple Bojack was actually featured on the last one, if I remember correctly, but that is not the case for this season. There's no purple Bojack, no super attack to worry about, just a stun. But once you get to the second fight, the purple Bojack does appear. So again, you just have this guy right here, the Boojin, who is going to stun on turn 2, and then this Bojack who's going to stun towards the end of turn 2. Remember, he does have a really slow key restore speed. Most of your units should be able to outpace him. Next, we have event exclusive right here. There's a lot of debuffs coming out right here, especially from the red 18. So definitely watch out for that. Goku Black also has some of those. And then this Boo, he will stun you on turn 3. Don't let him do that, obviously. And then Tapion usually is your last targeted unit here, just because he's getting buffs upon getting hit. And then we come across the first Universe Reps fight. All right, so for this one, obviously we're going to go into more detail in the actual walkthrough video when we actually are going to end up fighting this stage. But Ultra UI is going to be your high priority targets. Just because he's an ultra unit, he's going to have high damage output. He has a guaranteed double attack. Also, if you super attack him and you don't kill him with said super attack, he will super attack you right back, right? So you have to 100% keep that in mind. He has really high key restore speed, so he's probably going to, if you do end up super attacking with someone like Boot Tanks, you don't have to worry about him super attacking at the end of that turn, because he's probably already had his rotation in terms of attacking you first, right? But you do want to go for him. And then probably the tag unit, the Go Frieza MUI, he does have the evade mechanic, but it is what it is. You have to get through it. Beerus has debuffs. Then you're going to go for Evo, and then the Jiren last. Do keep in mind that this fight has 2 strike cover changes with the Jiren and the Go Frieza, and then 1 blast cover change with the Evo Vegeta. Next, we do have Saiyans. Typically, what I like to do right here, or the Saiyan Saga specifically, what I like to do right here is advise people to take out Raditz first, because he's going to super attack you on turn 1, slow key restore speed though at the very least, and then go for the Nappa since he's debuffing you, and then you can basically go for whoever as long as you don't let the blue Cyberman live until turn 4. On turn 4, he's guaranteed a super attack because he's getting 30% every single turn, right? So you gotta, those are the big 3 of this fight, I believe. And then purple Cyberman's going to be last. And then you have this fight right here, which is another version of the Mohawk squad. So I would suggest going for the red Tapion and the yellow Tapion first. Both of those guys, they're going to debuff you. The red Tapion debuffs one specific unit heavily on turn 2, which does include reducing their super gauge down to 0. I usually like to get them out before that even happens. And then for your 5th and 6th slot, it's going to, the 5th unit is going to be this purple Tapion, and then the 6th is going to be the blue Zamasu, because he's going to debuff you when he gets hit. Another feature of that blue Zamasu is that he's debuffing the entire bottom row, so just stay away from that area. Next, we have this future fight right here. The strongest unit, unironically, is the Legends Road Trunks, if you let him. So he gets a super attack every time a Gohan ally dies. So you can see right here, there's 3 Gohan units. If you get super attacked 3 times by this Trunks, that's not going to be good for your team. So don't let that happen, please. This free-to-play Trunks also is probably going to be a very good damage dealer, as well as I would probably go for the double Trunks and the tag unit, and then go for the Gohan units. Next, we have this Resurrection F fight. Whis is going to be the most annoying unit here, as he does have potential to stun on turn 2. Just kill him first, and then the rest of the units should be easy. The purple Vegeta does have a blast notification right here. I'm not too worried about that. That just means I'm going to take him out last. Then your first boss fight is going to be a Universe Reps fight. We just went over this, but this is the second time you're seeing them in the first half alone. And then we have this fight. This isn't a difficult fight. I just think it's interesting to bring up. This is the first time we're seeing a hero unit get introduced in the ToP game mode. Obviously, the biggest threats here are going to be the Amond and then the Blue Bulma, but that's it. That's it. We're good. Keep in mind too, the hero units don't even have kits within ToP, so he's effectively adding nothing to this team. All right, so next we have this fight right here. Also pretty easy, right? Whis is going to stun you on turn 2. A lot of people do end up going for him first so they can just get that stun out of the way. Piccolo and Beerus are both debuffers, so they're important as well. But the Gohan, the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, he's getting stronger every time an ally dies. So definitely those 3 are important as well. But I honestly don't think this fight is that difficult. So next we have this powerful opponent fight right here. This one honestly isn't that bad. For blast teams, you pretty much always go for the Frieza first. Right, so this full power Frieza, he does mitigate 1 blast arts, and then once he does that, he gets 100% to his special move gauge. He has a low key restore speed though, so if you can just go ahead and pop that mitigation and then kill him, you have nothing to worry about. Strike teams can do this a little bit differently because they don't have to worry about a super attack potentially, right? So you're good on that. Jiren is going to stun you here on turn 1. Nothing you can do about it unless you have a Garlic Jr. type units. He does have high damage in general, plus a strike cover potentially. And then after that, you go for the Legends Limited Broly. He gets extra damage after getting hit once, also has a strike cover potentially. And then that's pretty much it. And typically, you do go for the free-to-play Broly, the blue one last, because he gets buffs when hit. So we have Rival Universe. This is a fight I've pretty much have told you guys to completely avoid in the past, but we don't have a lot of options here. There's double stuns, turn 1 stuns, meaning that you can't get out of it. Jiren and this God Topo are going to stun you. Turn 1. Unless you have Garlic Jr., you're not getting out of it. For this one, I think we are going for the God Topo first, and then the Casserole. And then you're going to take out the yellow Jiren, the EXs, and then the purple Jiren last. A special consideration here is that once that yellow Jiren does transform, he's able to mitigate a strike arts. We don't have to worry about that since we're a blast team. And then right after that, you come across Future. Oh, yes. I love that for us. So basically what you're going to do here is Ultra Rose is probably going to be a high priority target. The only thing about this is that Ultra Rose is very, very fast, and he gets a guaranteed blue card. So there's probably not really a way for you to effectively avoid that unless you have a unit that cover changes on blue cards and you want a specific range of people you want to protect. You can do something like that, especially with someone like the green Zenkai Piccolo, right? Like say you want to bring in boot tanks to this fight because there's 2 reds, but you're scared of him getting super attacked. You just put that green Piccolo in range of him, so the green Piccolo will always be there to kind of just be that backup for him, just in case, right? Another rule of thumb here is you're going to want to avoid the bottom row debuffs provided by the blue Zamasu, right? And then he's also going to be your last unit attacked because he's also offering some more debuffs on getting hit. So stay away from that area down there. Next we have GT. This is double blast mitigation from the Super 17s, from the sparking ones at least. You're going to go for the red one first. Doesn't matter if he's going to mitigate one of your blast darts or not. He's going to be a high damage dealer. And then you're going to go for the green one last because he's kind of irrelevant. Next we do have the Sagas from the movies fight right here. Bojack is getting that super attack on turn 2, at the end of turn 2. Don't let him get that off. And then another special consideration here is that the yellow, or I mean the red Janemba, he does mitigate a blast arts and he stuns you upon mitigating that blast arts. So definitely do be cautious of that. If that worries you that much, you can go ahead and opt to take him last. If you have a blue unit that can have a super attack, attacks first, maybe you could snipe him out. Go ahead and do that. If you want to just eat the stun, you can also do that. I don't think this fight's going to be too significant here. And then your final boss fight is going to be the Universe Reps. Once again, this is going to be the final fight for you guys. So 3 appearances of Ultra UI Goku that we do have to come across, unfortunately. Before we get into the actual team guides, though, this is the team guide key. This is going to be your guide for knowing what all of the icons mean, from the red arrows to the blue arrows. You're going to be like, what the hell does all this stuff mean? The blue arrows is going to indicate an S tier. The red arrow is going to indicate a Z tier. You're going to see the blast icon for blast-based teams, strike icon for strike-based teams, all of that good stuff. Please refer to this if you do get lost while looking at the icons, because I know it can be a lot visually. It may be overstimulating. All right, so the first team we are going to be taking a look at is LOE. This is the team I'm going to be using. On the right-hand screen, you're going to see a different variation of it, so you have a little bit more options. For core units, you do have Chilled right here. Chilled is a core unit due to his Z ability being HP buffer, which is always nice, especially since he's a Zenkai unit and he's S tier. He's a really good unit in general, really fast with the key restore speed. You also have this revival Frieza. He's going to act as a healer as well as just being the revival unit, which is those are basically two mainstays on the team right there, right? And then for your boost units, you do have the red metal cooler. You're going to want to set him over to blast. Remember, this is a blast based team. And then you have either the yellow metal cooler like me, or you have the blue metal cooler. Either or works, right? So there's your replacement right there. If right off rip, you're like, Isaac, I need a replacement for the yellow metal cooler, throw on the blue metal cooler right now. For notable units right here, I'm running the triple stun setup. So this purple Frieza stunning turn 1, this guy's stunning turn 1, and then this guy's stunning turn 1. On the right hand side, the only reason why Ultra Frieza is there is because he is faster than Rose. So if you build up a super attack with him and then just bench him until you get to that future fight, you could possibly just snipe out the Rose before you even have to eat a super attack. So that's the strategy behind him. That's the only reason why he's featured on the right hand side. And then of course you want this yellow Frieza on a special move tile at all times, so you can turn his super attack into an ultimate turn 1 every single time. He does get a guaranteed blue card turn 1, and then when you turn it into the ultimate, you're inflicting all these debuffs, which is going to be incredibly helpful. So next we have the Frieza Force setup. So for this one, we are not bringing in the naval, just because you want as many strong counter units as possible. Remember when we went over how many threatening blues were in the season? I believe it was just 2, right? So there's not too much benefit from having double greens on here, especially since naval is not a he's not a boost unit, right? So that's the only reason why we did not include naval on here. The only core unit is going to be that revival Frieza, and then for boost you do have this purple Apul. So you're going to have board-wide support for the team. You have this yellow Monray. You're going to want to set him over to blast. This is a blast-based team as indicated by the blast icon. And then you have this green Frieza, again, set him over to blast. You're going to have double purples on here, double yellows, and then double reds. I do not have the Jace and Birder units, so you can replace him with the free-to-play unit of Raditz. This guy does get a guaranteed super attack turn 1 at the end of turn 1. So you're going to have 2 guaranteed supers with this team. So the golden Frieza is going to super first, and then your Raditz is going to super second. So you can have a lot of different ways to kind of like play around with that. And you have double stuns here, the purple Frieza and then the red Frieza. So next we have the Taunthan team. This is a strike team, so it might be a little bit more difficult to run this team, especially in the season. You do have a core unit of just Taunthan. This is what the team is named after. Of course, he's going to be a core unit on here. He does have the focus mechanic, so everyone's going to focus on him for turn 1 rather than any of your other units. For boost units, you do have this healing Goku, right? And then you also keep in mind this is a strike team, so he would be set to strike. You also have the blue Super Saiyan Gohan from the Broly movie, the EX. I don't have that guy, so I would replace him with one of the other boost replacements, which does include this red Goku down here. And then you also have the purple Zenkai Gohan off to the right side right here. And then for other just notable units, both of the Ultimate Gohan and then the Beast Gohan are very good for damage dealing. You have the red Kid Goku, who's going to super attack every other fight. And then you have the yellow Goten, who's going to be super attacking at the beginning of turn 2. So next we have hybrids. So core unit is going to be Pan. That's your HP buffer right here. There is one big hole for me specifically that prevents me from running this team, is not having that tag Vegeta Trunks, and the fact that there's not really a great yellow to replace him with right now, right? And obviously yellows are very important this season. So that's going to be an issue for me. Even if I put Ultra Gohan on here, like it's nice. Ultra Gohan is a great character, but again, how many blues are in the season? There's only 2 of them, right? So for boost units, you do have 2 Z tiers. You have the EX Blue Gohan and the EX Green Gohan. The EX Green Gohan specifically is important to note that his event is currently on. So if you don't have that Green Gohan, you don't have him farmed up, you can go ahead and start working on that right now as we speak. For new units here that are included in the graphic, So you have the Zenkai Trunks, the Z Trunks right there, the Legends Limited one, and then you also have the new Rage Trunks. Both of those units can be used here. So next we have the Strike version, and not much changes here. So Pan is still your core unit with your being your HP buffer, and then instead of the tag Vegeta Trunks, you actually end up getting the Sword of Hope, or not the Sword of Hope, the Z Trunks Zenkai, the brand new one, right? And then for your boost units, those also change. You're gonna get the Zenkai Purple Gohan and the EX Super Saiyan 1 Gohan from the Broly movie. Again, I do not have that guy, so you're gonna have to replace him for one of the other Z tiers, or end up bringing in 3 S tiers, which may weaken the team overall. Next we have Universe Reps. This is probably one of the most strongest teams, one of the best teams that you can use in ToP right here. So core unit, you do have Bergamo. You're going to want to send him over to Blast on this team right here, since this is the Blast based version. This guy is your max HP buffer, that's why he does get the core unit role. And then for your boost units, you have Z tier Kaba. This guy is absolutely amazing for Blast based teams. He's usually featured on this team and then on Saiyans as well for the Blast team. He is going to be providing support for Rival Universe or Vegeta characters specifically, and he's inflicting all enemies with blast damage received debuffs, which is pretty good. And then you also have this yellow Topo, who's providing board-wide buffs for the tag of Rival Universe. He's buffing crit rate, so that's pretty good as well. And then for your main roster, you have this tag Evo Ken, which is going to be pretty good just in general because it's a tag unit. And then you have the Jiren, who's stunning on turn 1. You have the MVP 17 support, you have the Kale for heals, and then you have this Golden Glizzy so that he can super attack every single fight on turn 1 and potentially on turn 4. Just keep in mind with the yellow Golden Frieza, you want him on a yellow tile at all times because that will allow him to turn his super into the ultimate. All right, so next we have androids. I would say this is a pretty beefy androids team right here. You need 3 Legends Limited, 2 Zenkais. At least one of the Zenkais is free to play. But this team can be a little bit tricky, I would say, in terms of like availability, right? Because MVP 17 is very much so an MVP of the team, and if you're trying to run him at 3 stars, I think it's a no-go. So he's on the team. For your core units, you don't have any. There's no core units. I don't know if this guy's in debate for being a core unit. This guy is a max base HP buffer, plus he's healing, so I mean, he's really good. He's really good for the team. I don't know if he falls under the core unit umbrella, though. I don't know if he's an absolute must on this team. You have Super 17, who has the Blast Arts mitigation. Is just a great unit in general. Same thing for their Cell in terms of debuffs. You have a revival unit, and then you have 2 healers, right? So this yellow 18 and then the yellow Cell, and then for boost you have the Cell Junior Z tier, and then this guy for his Z tier as well. This is a blast based team though, keep it in mind. For new units in the graphic, you do have the Celza featured, and that's a maybe. Celza is a primarily strike focused unit, and so that might mess with the synergy of the team. Alright, so next we're going to do Sagas from the movies. So this is going to be the blast-based version. So for your core unit, you do have Master Roshi. That's your max HP buffer right there, right? For boost units, you do have the Zenkai Metal Cooler. And then I also make sure he set over to Blast. And then ideally, you have that Bardock right there, who's Z tier, so you can just get that 30% off rip. If you don't have that Bardock, it's okay. You can replace him with the blue unit of the Metal Cooler. I think that would be pretty good. And you would still be getting the 30% because you do have 2 A tiers, which do equate to a total of 10%, each of them giving 5%. So you're still getting that 30% right there, right? But it's up to you. You have to make that call if you're going to be running the team, right? If you don't have that Bardock right there. For other units on here, you have the Gotenks support. You have the support from the Piccolo right here, who's also going to be debuffing the enemy. Beast Gohan, just an absolute beast in general. Also, again, I cannot stress it enough. If you're going to be using this team, you see the Blast icon down there, it is your responsibility to set all these units over to Blast, right? So Gotenks, Gohan, stuff like that. This Gogeta, he's going to super on turn 3, stun with that super. And this guy stuns on turn 1, so you should be set here. So next is the strike base version of the Sagas from the movie. So core unit is going to be Gokua. This is your max HP Z ability right here. This guy, he is a bit on the older side, obviously, so you want him at a higher star level than just the 7 stars. That's indicated by him having the pink star. And then for your boost units, you actually have 2 Z tiers on here. So you have this Trunks, and then you have this guy, this Thouser. Remember, if you're going to be running Thouser, you need at least 1 cooler unit on board. He's getting most of his kit from having a cooler ally, plus the cooler is benefiting from him as well. There is, on the right hand side, you do see the yellow Broly right there, but since you have 2 Z tiers, you're already getting the 40%. Do you really need the extra boost unit? No. So you can go ahead and you can swap him out with whoever you want, who you see most fitting on here. Whatever, maybe you feel like your team's lacking damage, more support, more debuffs, stuff like that. That's gonna be your call essentially, right? And then I don't have the Videl available to me, so I guess I can go ahead and just throw on this Dragon Fist Goku right here. So next we have the strike-based Saiyans right here. So for core unit, there is none, no core unit here. But you do have a healer unit with this Goku healing to the left and to the right of him, also counting as a boost unit, so that's pretty nice. Boost unit with this guy over here, free to play unit, and then boost unit with this Broly as well. For other units here, guaranteed super attack from this guy, super attack every other fight since he's getting 50%. This guy is guaranteed turn 1 stun. MUI has the evade mechanic, and then you have this purple Goku. He is providing a lot of the support. He's a very, very good support unit. Not only is he providing support, but he's also dishing out the debuffs too. So yeah, he is very nice. He is automatically set to blast. So of course, what team is this? Strike. All right, so next we have blast-based Saiyans right here. So you're gonna have to use your imagination a little bit. I have not farmed up the Vegeta. I don't have the Buu Duo, and I don't have the Vegeta Trunks. For core units, there is none. For boost units, you have 2 Z tiers on the right hand side. That's 40%, but you could still run a Z tier and an S tier to give you that 30%, which is what I'm doing right here on the left hand side because I don't have that Bardock. If you don't have that Bardock, it's okay. You can go ahead and swap him out for the Zenkai Turles, who is an S tier, and you're still going to be getting the appropriate amount of experience or the appropriate amount of boost to your score. And then obviously this guy, he's playing a really big role right here because he's a very good support unit, very good debuffer, all that good stuff, right? You have a universal cover change with this guy, and then obviously 2 tag units is going to be pretty strong. That Buu Duo has the Transcendent Kamehameha available to them, and then the new Vegeta is actually a healer unit too. For other new units that are included on the graphic is the new Zenkai Vegeta, the purple one, and then the Vegeta Blue. So next we're going to talk about our beloved regeneration right here. So there's a couple of differences between the left and the right hand side, but first let's talk about the core unit. Super Baby 2 is never going anywhere. One of the best units for the team. And then boost units, you do have both of the metal coolers, the Zenkai red one and then the free-to-play blue one, and then you have the Zenkai Piccolo. That guy is going to be playing pretty big role right here, especially for those of you opting in to bring in Buu tanks, right? The only reason why I'm bringing the Buu tanks over the Parasite Trunks too is because, again, how many blues are the most threatening in the season? It's only 2 of them, right? And then compared to the amount of threatening reds in the season, I believe there's 5 threatening reds, right? So I think having a strong blue is going to be more important. But you might come across the fight, like the future fight, where you're going to be very scared of getting super attacked with the Rose, right? But that's when this Piccolo comes in. You could see his range right here is below him and above him. Even if he does 2 above him too, so you can even position him like this. His ability, he actually has cover change for special move arts, right? So he's going to be, if he does happen to get super attacked, the Buu tanks that is, this Piccolo will come in and save the day for him. I think that combo will work out perfectly for you guys. And then you also have the Rage Shenron here. He does need 7 star. He needs a little bit more than 7 stars. I've used him at this star level in ToP and he did fine for me, but that might not be the same for you, right? I've actually used him, I think, at 5 stars instead of the 6 stars that I have him at right here. But still, regardless, he might, because he has the mechanic where they're gonna focus him for 1 turn. I believe it's on turn 2 though. Yeah, so at the start of the turn, if there's 5 enemies or less, you apply buff effect. Enemies focus on this character for 1 turn. So that can't get activated on turn 1. It can only be activated on turn 2. Right, so definitely do keep that in mind. And then he also, after he receives a strike, he stuns whoever striked them. So that's pretty good. Obviously, Zamasu is a very hard hitter right here. This Zamasu is going to be getting super attacks pretty fast because he's getting it he's at 20% every time he lands an arts hit. Buu tanks turn 1 super attacker, and then you have the Cell, who is basically just dishing out a ton of debuffs as well. And last but not least, we have the free-to-play team event exclusive. Everyone on this team should be 14 stars. No ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, I can understand Vegeta since he's the brand new free-to-play unit, and I believe like his condition for getting that last star is pretty annoying and time-consuming. For core unit, you just have the Pui. Just Pui. He's max HP ability buffer, and no naval. No naval, again, just because you don't want to pile on the greens right here for this season, right? There's a lot of purples. There's a lot of purples, threatening purples, and not a whole lot of the blues. You do have 2 healer units though here. It is going to be the 18 and that Vegeta. For boost unit, you have the blue metal cooler, the blue trunks, and then the yellow Monray. And basically you have this guy as your support unit. He's supporting the team and debuffing the enemy team. And then this guy right here, he's actually pretty good. This guy, I think the argument basically is, should I run the Sin Shenron or should I run this guy? This guy's in a higher tier and stuff like that, but his debuffs don't cover the whole board. It's actually missing the entire middle column. So I guess that's the reasoning behind it. The only other thing that I could probably consider is the fact that this guy maybe has a better key restore speed combination with the Vegeta. That way both of the reds attack first. I'm not too sure. I've never used this guy in combat, but I have seen a lot of people enjoy using the Super Saiyan Kid Goku. So if you do end up using this guy instead of the Kid Goku, let me know if he works out for you. If you guys do run event exclusive, I imagine not a ton of you guys do. Alright, so now let's go over some of these new units. First, we have the new Zenkai for this Trunks right here. I'm pretty sure this guy is already featured on one of the teams before even getting the Zenkai, so this is pretty good. So his Q restore speed 2508 at rank 1, which is pretty solid. Has the blue card and the ultimate available to him. He does have buffs against Frieza Force or powerful opponent. That already is pretty important. I think that's very, very good. 30% damage inflicted to them at start of the battle, 80% to damage inflicted, 30% to damage cut, and 150 to key recovery. On attack, you cancel buff effects to enemies, and that activates 2 times. On hit, inflicts enemy with extreme bleed, and you inflict all enemies with plus 15% to damage received. Debuffs are huge. You do have a blast cover change, health gated by 30% at the start of the battle. If there is a Frieza Force or tag powerful opponent, you get straight up 50% to special move gauge. That's pretty huge. And you upgrade the special move arts as well. So at the start of the turn, 10% to damage inflicted, 3% to special move gauge, and start of the first turn, you green card, get 100 to your key recovery, and you nullify attribute downgrades 2 times. And you also heal. So already seems pretty damn good, and is a Zenkai buffer for Green Hybrid. Next, we do have this Vegeta, who I have not yet farmed. So let's take a look at his max stats, ToP stats. Key restore speed, pretty low, 2279 right here at Friendship rank 1. Has the blue card available to him. Beginning of turn, 70% to damage inflicted, minus 15% to damage cuts. Start of the turn, 10% to own damage inflicted for 1 turn, 2 times, activates 2 times, and then inflicts debuffs plus 5% to damage received 2 times, inflicts enemy with attribute downgrade minus 5% to key recovery 2 times, on blast arts hit 5% to own damage inflicted, and 5% to allies key recovery. Okay, that's pretty good. And then second ability, you do have a strike, or before receiving a strike or a blast art, so you have a universal, or not a universal, but you have a strike and blast cover change right here that's only health gated by 50%. That's pretty good. You perform a cover change, and then after receiving an attack, you restore your own health by 1%, 10% to own blast damage inflicted, and you inflict all enemies that attribute downgrade minus 5% to damage inflicted for 2 turns. And at the end of turn, allied episode Majin Buu Saga event exclusive or Vegeta Clan, restore health by 1%, activates 2 times, and 10% to damage inflicted. That's pretty good. So next we do have this guy who just got a Zenkai as well. So let's take a look at his max stats, ToP stats. Friendship rank 2328 at Friendship rank 2. His first ability, or he just has the blue card available to him. First ability though, 20% to damage inflicted for 2 turns, 50% to blast damage inflicted, 15% to damage cut, and 50% to key recovery. On blast or special move arts, you get 20% to damage inflicted for your allies. That kind of sucks, low key, to only get that support on a blue card. It's kind of weird. Start of the turn, if there are 3 or more Vegeta Clan or future characters on your team, 20% to special move damage, 20% to special move gauge, and that's pretty good actually. And then 5% to key recovery, so he needs to be on a Vegeta Clan or future. That kind of sucks a little bit. If defeated, Tag. Oh, death buffs. I don't even care about that, bro. That's like something to worry about once they're on the enemy team. Okay, I mean, he's all right. And lastly, let's take a look at this Rage Trunks right here. So max stats, of course, 2,267, pretty low for being at friendship rank 5. He has the blue card available to him, and then Z ability, or tournament of power abilities, 70% to damage inflicted, 15% to damage cut, 10% to key recovery, according to battle turn. First turn, 10% to damage inflicted, 10% to health restoration, and 15% to... Oh, so he's actually going to be hella fast, low key. Third turn restores health by 1% and 15% to damage inflicted. After receiving an attack, he gets buffs. Okay, so that's going to be a little bit dangerous. 5% to damage inflicted 3 times. Before receiving a strike or blast arts, you perform a cover change, not health gated at all. That's crazy. When changing cover, you get minus 10% to enemy special move gauge. That's insane. Inflicts attribute downgrade, minus 10% to damage inflicted for 2 turns. Inflicts attribute downgrade, plus 10% to damage received for 2 turns, and minus 10% to key recovery for 2. Holy crap, to all enemies? Or just to the one? That's insane. After receiving an attack, own health is 50% or below. You start healing by 2% one time, 40% to next special move damage inflicted, and then 50% to special move gauge. Okay, so he actually looks kind of scary, especially if you're going up against him, especially since his range is very weird. So it's the 4 corners and then beyond that a little bit. That's gonna go ahead and wrap it up for today's video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy, and if you guys like the content, make sure you guys leave a like, a comment, maybe even consider hitting that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.